to see you all. Good evening. So, let's start by sitting quietly, and we're going to observe the breath. And we're really going to do our best to let go of the busy mind. To stop thinking about the past and worrying about the future. Just going to try and be in the present. And when thoughts come up in the mind, we just notice them and let them go. We don't engage with them. We don't follow them. We don't elaborate. We just let them go. Let, let those thoughts just pass like clouds in the sky. And let your mind be calm and clear. And enjoy the sensation of breathing in and breathing out. And if you want, you can hold the inhalation just for a moment. To allow for that intake of oxygen in the lungs. And just hold it for a moment and then just exhale. And let yourself become one with your breath. Now that your mind has become more peaceful, yeah, we can shift to cultivate a proper motivation for this activity. And you can think that you're taking this time right now, to learn about Buddhist teachings, to learn about how to relate to a spiritual mentor, so that you can uh, access the Buddha's teaching, so that you can practice the Dharma, not just for your own benefit or for your own intellectual curiosity or for your own self-improvement, but in order to become someone who's truly able to benefit and bring happiness to others. And as we hold that motivation in our heart, let's connect with the Buddha by visualizing the Buddha in the space in front of us. And if we cannot, if we're not as familiar with the Buddha's image, we can look at the one on the screen. We can put that back up. And so we picture his body made of light. And we try to picture him as clear as possible. But in the beginning, we may not have the ability to do that. So we just focus on perhaps feeling the presence of an enlightened being in the space in front of us and connecting with that, connecting with the compassion, the loving kindness, the wisdom that emanates from the Buddha's body, even if we cannot visualize him very clearly. And then we also connect with all sentient beings by also visualizing them close to us, around us. We can think that our mother of this life is sitting right to our left and our father of this life to our right. Even if they are dead, we can still visualize them here with us. All your dear ones close by. And then every sentient being in human form, extending through the entire universe. And they are all here with us. And they're also going to connect with the Buddha. And they're also going to be benefiting from the talk and the teachings. And they are also going to be following the path all the way to full awakening. So holding these visualizations in our mind, we can take refuge. I don't know about you, but I'm not seeing the refuge prayer. I don't know. Oh, here we go. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Let's do that refuge prayer. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. I'm a merit of listening to the Dharma. May I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits of listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits of listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. Okay, thank you. So, we're going to continue, of course, with our. Oops, sorry, I forgot the 4 immeasurables. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings now be separated from sorrowless bliss. And may all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. Okay. All right, sorry about that. So we're going to continue with our topic. And last time, if I remember correctly, we left it off when we were talking about the different kinds of Dharma teachers that we can encounter. Yeah? And we talked about the university professor, we talked about the Dharma instructor, and we talked about a Mahayana master, right? And so we're kind of going to continue with that because there's still a couple of other types of spiritual teachers that we can encounter. Yeah. So another one, it's the tantric master. And so this would be the instructor that is giving us empowerments or initiations, right? They're also, yeah. And it could be in any of the 4 classes of Tantra. What's action, performance, yoga, and highest yoga Tantra. So, and a tantric master is a highly qualified teacher. Yeah, it's someone who has received extensive training and has done extensive practice, and they particularly practice the deity extensively that they are offering the empowerment for. So these are beings, practitioners who have very stable realizations, very high levels of concentration, yeah, and very stable in the 3 principal aspects of the path: renunciation, bodhicitta, and wisdom, realizing emptiness. So, and they also embody very strong ethical conduct. Yeah, so these are very special beings. And we're so fortunate. We're so fortunate that we have masters still available to us who can give us this empowerment. Yeah, we shouldn't take that for granted. It's something very special that we receive when we go to these empowerments and these initiations, right? So an empowerment is like a transfer of energy from a transmission, from the master to the disciple who's prepared to receive it. Yeah. To the disciple who's ready to receive it. Yeah. We can go to the initiation, we can go to the empowerment, but we may not necessarily receive it. So we have to do our homework. We have to be prepared. We have to be ready to receive that very special gift. Yeah. And so this transmission of energy takes place because of the powerful mind of the master, because of their strong practice, because of their familiarity with the deity. Yeah, so they're able to do that. And how they do this, they guide us through these very special visualizations and meditations. And so it's like we're doing a meditation simultaneously with the ashram master, with the tantric master. And so that is that creates a very powerful connection when we're doing such joint meditation, when we're following the instructions, when we are repeating the words that they want us to repeat, etc. We are creating this very strong bond, this very strong connection that follows us lifetime after lifetime until Buddhahood. So once you've taken an empowerment from a teacher, it is very much a necessity that you see them as a Buddha. Yeah. And then you are very careful in not breaking that bond, in not breaking that connection. And if the master gives you commitments during the empowerment, you have to be very careful not to break those commitments. Otherwise, we create a lot of negative karma. And I've read that Lama Yeshe referred to an empowerment as a shared act of meditation. A shared act of meditation. That sounds really beautiful. Yeah. To have a shared meditation with those special beings. It's very powerful. Okay. And then we have our root guru. We have our root guru. And our root guru is the teacher with whom we feel the strongest connection. The one that inspires us the most, the one that just really moves our heart, the one that we would just follow anywhere. Yeah, the one that has the most profound effect in our practice. Yeah, the one that we entrust ourselves to, our spiritual practice to. Yeah. So that's a very special connection with our root guru. It could be that it's the teacher from whom you've received the most teaching. Sometimes that happens because we feel such a strong connection that we just try not to miss any of the teachings that our root guru is giving. Yeah. It could be the guru that you feel most dedicated to, that you offer service to with great joy. So, yeah, these are all these are all very special connections. All of these different types of teachers give us something precious, right? And so it's good to hold each and every one of them with great respect and just great admiration. Yeah, we can have more than one guru. Yeah, we just we're not limited to one. In fact, Pabonka Rinpoche in Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand mentions that Atisha, Lord Atisha, had about 152 teachers, spiritual teachers. And you have to be equally devoted to all of them. And Atisha was equally devoted to all of them. And he was just incredibly respectful of each one of his teachers. And because of the fact that he relied so well, properly on each one of them, he was able to have great accomplishments. Yeah, his practice just grew, and Atisha was able to disseminate the Dharma in India and Tibet. So, and to this day, he's a revered master. Right? So we know that relying on our teachers, properly relying on our teachers, is the fastest way to reach enlightenment, is the surest way to reach enlightenment. So this is a very, definitely a very special relationship. And when we open our hearts to our gurus, I think I might have mentioned this before, they can be far away and we can still feel close to them because they're in our hearts. That's where the relationship is. It's in the heart. And so they can be anywhere and we just feel as close as if they were right next to us. So even when they pass away, yeah, their teachings are still with us. There is still pretty much something that we are adhering to, and that keeps the connection alive. When we keep the teachings of the Guru alive in our hearts, we're keeping that connection also alive. Yeah, and then we can have the great fortune of meeting the reincarnation of our teacher and continuing that relationship. So it's indeed very, very special. So I was also reading maybe one of my favorite Dharma books, which is actually a series of books written by Geshe Lundut Sopa. And it's a commentary. Those 5 volumes are a commentary on the Lamrim, on Tsongkhapa's Lamrim Shema. Yeah. And so in his first volume, he has a very nice chapter about the relationship to the spiritual guide. And so I was reading that and I wanted to share with you some of the just beautiful things that he's writing in that book. I highly recommend the 5 volumes. It's an amazing, amazing commentary. So, of course, he is talking about the qualities that we should look for in a spiritual teacher. Yeah. So there are 10 that are highlighted, and these correspond to the same qualities that were highlighted by a text written by Maitreya, the ornament of Mahayana Sutras. And so in that Maitreya text, these 10 are listed. And so Geshe Sopa does a very good job at sort of unpacking what those 10 qualities are. And so I wanted to share that with you tonight, because as we are looking to choose a spiritual master, or strengthen the relationship with the one we already have, it helps to reflect on these qualities. Yeah, and it helps us to really be amazed at the qualities that our teachers have. Yeah, because it helps us build trust, and it helps us open our heart and listen to them more closely and follow their advice. So anyway, as we're looking for a teacher, evaluating the teacher's qualities, these are the 10 to look for. And so it is recommended that we rely. I'm going to read the verse. The verse that comes from the Maitreya's Ornament of Mahayana Sutras. It says, rely on a spiritual guide that is subdued, pacified, thoroughly pacified, who has more qualities than you, a wealth of scripture, realization into suchness, diligence, who is a skilled speaker, has great compassion, and has great patience. So those are the 10. Okay. And so Geshe Sopa talks about how Lama Tsongkhapa categorizes those 10 into 2 different divisions. So Lama Tsongkhapa says that 6 of those qualities relate to the teacher's own spiritual development, and the other 4 relate to his or her ability to influence or to lead others. Yeah? So the first 3 qualities, which are being subdued, pacified, and thoroughly pacified, those line up with the 3 higher trainings in ethics, or sila, samadhi, concentration, and wisdom, prajna. Yeah. So how do they relate? Okay, so subdued, being subdued means that the teacher practices ethical conduct. Yeah, because ethical conduct subdues the mind. Yeah, the uncontrolled mind that runs after everything, that wants everything, that is attached to everything, that criticizes everything, yeah, that judges everybody, that can't refrain from the 10 non-virtuous actions. So, yeah, so the teacher has tamed his or her mind by abstaining from those 10 non-virtuous actions, and through holding precepts. Yeah, through holding and keeping precepts. Nowadays, of course, you could be a lay teacher who's holding lay precepts, or a monastic teacher who's holding monastic precepts. So qualified teachers are those who have kept precepts purely. Yeah. And as a result, they have cultivated self-restraint. Self-restraint. Yeah. And those of us who have tried to keep precepts have a pretty good idea how hard that can be sometimes. Yeah. Because our minds are just so unruly, undisciplined, very impulsive sometimes. And of course, we have all this baggage. I guess we could call it baggage or familiarity with non-virtuous actions. So those are like set tracks in our mind, right? Those are deep tracks. And of course, where does our mind go first? Our mind goes where those deep tracks are. Yeah, because that's what it's used to. And those deep tracks are non-virtuous actions. So our mind has a very hard time. You're letting go of those bad habits and then creating new virtuous habits. And precepts help us do that transition. Yeah. But it's hard. Yeah. It's not easy. And so when you see someone who really has worked with his or her mind, and as a result of that, they have a really tight ethical conduct. They've held their precepts purely. That takes a lot of work, a lot of effort. It takes a lot of effort. But you can see a pacified mind, a subdued mind, in the way that person even walks. The person walks into the room, and just by the way that person walks into the room, you can perceive their subdued mind and the way they talk. Yeah. So we may think it's difficult to observe, but it's actually not so difficult if we pay attention. And we can just see that manifesting in the teacher's conduct. So teachers who are trying to inspire and lead others, must first discipline themselves. Yeah. Because how can anyone hope to help others acquire discipline if you don't acquire it yourself first? Yeah. Because in that way, when you've already sort of lived this ethical conduct in your own skin, then you can teach from your own experiences and accomplishments, and then you know what the disciples are going through. You can give advice based on that experience that you've had acquired. You can understand their challenges. Yeah, then you can understand the challenges and then be able to respond to that with compassion and with the kind of advice that they need to hear. Okay. And so having a subdued mind as a result of the practice of ethical conduct is the first quality, the first of the two qualities. The second quality is related to the practice of concentration, samadhi. And it's the pacified, the second in the list is pacified. So when the word pacified here, it means a mind that has abandoned distraction. as a result of the cultivation of concentration, a single pointed concentration. So our minds are very distracted. Yeah, if we ever try to focus on the breath for more than, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, then we'll notice how distracted our mind really is. And especially now in our current society, our attention span is decreasing. It's not increasing. Yeah. We're like, if we watch TV, the TV is actually conditioning us to have a distracted mind. Yeah. And so, and of course, now we have the intelligent phones and social media and everything. All that is just conditioning us to have a distracted mind. And so when we start to work on concentration, that's really tough job. That's really tough job. And then there are a number of obstacles that come up, a number of hindrances that have to be overcome. So cultivating concentration is really it takes effort in the beginning. Yeah, it's a process. It's a process. And so someone who has achieved that really has dedicated a lot of time and effort to achieve that kind of mind. And the thing is, in the path, in order to progress along the path, we need that concentration. It's not like something that, oh, it's good to have. It's good to have. It's one of those things that, are a luxury. No. On the path, concentration is not a luxury. Concentration is a must. And so, but it's not only, it's not only concentration just to say that you have concentration, but you actually have to achieve, certain ability to stay on an object for a long period of time undistracted. Yeah. So for as long as we want. So once once someone develops concentration, they can remain on the same object uninterruptedly for hours, days even. Yeah. So it's very, very important. And when we develop that, there is certain amount of bliss and joy that is developed, and even some physical comfort, some physical pliancy is called. So it has a number of what can I say, results when we develop concentration. So our mind right now is either very distracted or very dull, very excited, or very lethargic. And so those are hindrances that we need to overcome when we're trying to develop concentration. Yeah. And in order to develop concentration, we first have to have good ethical conduct. Yeah. Ethical conduct is the foundation for concentration. So if a teacher has developed this concentration, by extension, they've also practiced ethical conduct very strongly. Yeah, because it's a requisite for having concentration. Yeah. So what helps also to develop concentration is to really develop these or strengthen these two factors of mindfulness and introspective awareness. Yeah. Mindfulness that that recollects the object. Yeah. And then introspective awareness that help us figure out if we're still on the object or not. Yeah. So these two become stronger when, as long as these two, mindfulness and introspective awareness, become stronger, then the more the more concentration we're going to have. Right? And so they also help. So they help us steer the mind towards virtuous activities and away from harmful actions. Yeah. So when our teachers have developed concentration, they also then have developed mindfulness, cultivated mindfulness, and cultivated introspective awareness. So these are the additional qualities that go along with concentration. So they're part of this uh, pacified quality that we're talking about. Yeah. Um, so with mindfulness, yeah, if your mind starts wandering, then you say, oh, I need to recollect, I need to bring back focus to my object. Yeah. And so with introspective awareness, we keep on asking ourselves, okay, well, how am I doing? What am I doing? Am I still in the object? Am I lethargic? What's going on? Yeah. And so a teacher who's working on concentration, who's developed concentration, has these two very strongly. Now, when we look at most thoroughly pacified, we talked about subdued, we just talked about pacified, and now we're going to talk about the third one, the third quality, which is thoroughly pacified. Yeah. And so when we talk about thoroughly pacified, what we're talking about is the training in wisdom. So having gained a special insight in the nature of reality. Yeah. And in particular, it refers to having gained the union of special insight and single-pointed concentration. Because in the beginning, and I mean, and this is a very advanced, this is an advanced stage, because in the beginning of our practice, we start developing concentration separately from special insight. Why? Because concentration and special insight in the beginning obstruct one another. Yeah. So special insight is analysis. It requires analysis. Whereas concentration, so the mind is moving. If you're analyzing something, the mind is moving. But in concentration, you're trying to keep the mind non-moving. So in the beginning, if you try to shift from concentration to special insight, that's going to be really hard, because on the one hand, you're trying to remain single-pointedly, and on the other hand, you're trying to analyze. So in the beginning, you cannot combine these two. You have to develop them separately. But as you advance further on the path, these two can be combined so that your concentration is not diminished by the analysis, but rather they enhance each other, and then they unify. And with a unified mind of single-pointed concentration and special insight, now you can start to gain some important realizations. Yeah. And so, particularly, and especially, when you analyze the nature of reality, when you analyze emptiness, yeah, you're doing wisdom analysis. So that state is incredibly important to arrive at the union of special insight and single-pointed concentration. So someone who's got that is really doing some advanced work. So then the fourth is the one that talked about the teacher's knowledge being superior to the disciples. So the teacher has to know more. Yeah. So particularly, the teacher has to have higher qualities of understanding, yeah, than the student, yeah. If you rely on someone who's got more knowledge than you, well, you will learn more, yeah. If someone has higher qualities than you, then you will gain those qualities, yeah. But if you rely on someone who's at the same level as you are, you don't have the ability to develop anything new. If you rely on someone who's got the same level of knowledge as you and the same level of practice as you cannot learn anything new. You cannot practice anything new. So you stagnate, yeah. You become stagnated. Yeah? You don't grow, yeah. And if you rely on someone who has less knowledge and less qualities than you, then you actually lose. Your qualities decrease. You actually sort of walk backwards, yeah, 2 steps backwards. So you definitely don't want to do that. So you have to, when you're choosing a teacher, a spiritual guide, you want someone who is well versed in the scriptures, in the texts, you know, someone who has studied the sutra, someone who has studied the commentaries, particularly, the teachings of the great masters. So you want to be able to know that that person is going to be able to explain to you the fine points of practice, and that in a way that you can understand it. Um, so now you have someone who's got higher inner qualities than you, and someone who's got more knowledge than you. So now you have really someone who's very capable of benefiting you because of their body of qualities and their body of knowledge. Yeah, so they can be a good example, a good inspiration, and they can show you how to get there because they got there themselves, right? So, if they have very limited learning, they won't have much to teach. Yeah, they won't have um, so much to share. Yeah. So that's another one of the qualities. You want someone who is well versed in the scriptures. And then the next one is someone who has an understanding of emptiness, of suchness. Yeah. So he or she should understand the final nature of reality. Because if they don't have that, how are they going to explain it to you? Yeah. How are they going to explain it? And we need to understand that. We need to understand the nature of reality, the ultimate nature. And we need to not just understand it, but we need to have a realization of the ultimate nature in order to eliminate the afflictions from the root and eliminate the obscurations to liberation and the obscurations to omniscience. So we cannot accomplish our final goal without that. Yeah. So next, we were still not through with those 10 qualities. So the next quality is that the teacher should possess great diligence. Great diligence. So that means that the teacher should take delight in virtue. The teacher should enjoy practicing the Dharma without being discouraged. Because you see, ultimately, the teacher is going to have just as many obstacles, perhaps more than the rest of us. Yeah. So if that person does not have uh, diligence, if they get easily discouraged, if they don't have joy in the joyous effort, if they don't have joyous effort, then they won't get too far. Yeah. And then they won't have the energy to guide students. Yeah. If they're going to give up easily, how can they guide you? So they should be tireless in guiding students. They should not tire of giving teachings and training disciples and giving advice. Especially because sometimes students can be naughty. Students can be very naughty, right? It's like, okay, you're telling them 10 million times to do this, and they still don't get it. Oh, it's enough to want to give up. But the teachers don't give up on us. They don't give up on us. So they don't give up on themselves, and they don't give up on us. We may give up on ourselves, but a good teacher won't let us give up on ourselves. Yeah. So they have to have that kind of a diligence, like, okay, here we go, no matter what, we continue. We continue to practice. And when you see a teacher practicing and teaching under any condition, that's really inspiring. When you see that commitment, that level of commitment, it almost sort of gives you a stronger commitment to your own practice. Yeah, when you know there is the teacher, and that teacher is just not being affected by an obstacle. They're not giving up. They're just so dedicated. And boy, that keeps us going. Sometimes in a practice, that may be all that keeps us going. I remember one time I had taken lay precepts. And, there is the ability to give up precepts. If you feel like you're going to break a precept, it's better to give it up before you break it. Yeah. If you return the precept, you've not incurred a negativity. But if you break a precept that you do have, you incurred a negativity. So I was having some challenges in my practice. I was still a lay practitioner, and I had lay precepts. And boy, I was coming up with some a lot of mental challenges. And in my confusion, I thought that the solution to my confusion, the solution to my challenges, was to return my precepts. So yeah, because returning my precepts was going to be the right thing to do. It was the solution to every one of the, every one of my problems and challenges. That's it. Because the precepts are the problem. So I wrote to my teacher and I said, I'm finding this difficulty. And I would like to, I'm thinking about just returning one of my precepts. What do you think? Oh, geez. I got back a one sentence answer. Yeah. But that one sentence answer got through my thick confusion and helped me see clearly what I was doing. And that's the power of a teacher, right? One sentence answer completely clarified my confusion. I read that and I knew exactly what I needed to do. Yeah. It's like, where else do you find that? Yeah. So she could have given up on me. Is it, oh well, she can't handle the precept. This is too hard for her. Poor girl. She's going through tough times. Let's just let's just get let her get off the hook with that one. That would have been giving up on me. If you look at it, if you look at that with clear mind, that would have been giving up on me, thinking, no, she cannot do it. Let's just let her off the hook because she cannot do it. My teacher did not give up on me. She knew. She said, you can do it, and I'm gonna make it. No, she said, I'm gonna make it, but I'm not gonna let you off the hook. You know? And she said one clear sentence. That was just wild, amazing. Yeah. So anyway, so the teachers won't give up on us. Even if we try to give up on ourselves. That's yeah. And also a teacher should be skilled in communicating, in speaking, and in trying to get the message across in as many different ways as possible. Yeah, because we may not get the message in the first try. Let's just be honest. It may take 100 times before we start seeing the light, And so the teacher has to be so skilled in communicating that they can just say the same thing in 100 different ways so that we can finally, see the light. And each one of us has a different mental disposition. So each one of us, he or she may be trying to convey the same idea, but may have to express it differently for each one of us so that we could get it. And there's a number of ways that a teacher has to do that, and a teacher needs to be skillful in that regard. Yeah. Um, so and it's wonderful to see really the way that these masters communicate. Yeah. Um, at one point they seem stern. Some other time they're laughing it off. Yeah. Another time they ask you a question as if they were clueless, but they're not clueless. They're just asking you a question because they want you to do some mental work. Yeah. Sometimes sometimes they talk about deep things. Sometimes they talk about very trivial things, and you're thinking, where's this person going with all these? But in the middle of all that, the masters are giving you something. Yeah. They are just trying to connect with your mind in so many different ways. And it's to be at the receiving end of that, it's something else. It's really something else. To be at the receiving end of that, all of their skillful means. Yeah. Sometimes they can be wrathful. Sometimes they can show wrathfulness. Sometimes playfulness. Sometimes they can be childlike. Sometimes they can be more. They can show themselves as more sophisticated. So it's really quite a skill. Then the next one is great compassion. Yeah, great compassion. great compassion. They really uh, uh, um, a qualified teacher does not teach for money, fame, power, wealth. Yeah, I already said money. Or for their own benefit. Yeah. They teach solely to benefit others. Yeah. You know, and this is when this is when I see some folks out there who come across as spiritual guides and they charge it's like, this person is selling all these tapes and selling all these uh, podcasts and he's selling all these books and making lots of money. And one wonders what is really their motivation. And if they don't have a good motivation, then what do they have? Well, many people are are trapped by uh, the appearance of wisdom when it really isn't wisdom. I've seen recently. I don't know if it's, I don't know where I saw it, but I've seen recently some advertising for this man. I don't remember his name either. Anyways, he doesn't, I don't think he's not Buddhist, but he's talking about, I'm gonna teach you how to work with your energy. And then he's doing some hand movements like this, some movement like that to work with your energy so that you can do this and do that. But of course, you have to subscribe and you have to send me a check and you have to. So we have to figure out why is he doing that. Anyway, so the teacher aims to benefit others. Uh, and for when we're talking about a qualified teacher, yeah, for a qualified teacher, every sentient being is an object of compassion. Yeah, and they could be relating to someone very powerful and very rich and very arrogant. They could be related to a person like that and still experience that person as an object of compassion. Yeah. Even though they're rich and powerful and arrogant and also, they can take a look at a mosquito and experience that mosquito as an object of compassion. And so, with that attitude, they teach every comer, every seeker that comes their way. They teach differently according to the needs of that being. According to the needs. This is important to remember when we are observing our teachers, is that they teach according to the needs. There can be 5, 10, 20, 100 of us present at one of these teachings. Yeah. And each of us is going to be getting what we need in different ways, in different forms. But we will go out of that teaching if we are in the presence of a qualified teacher. We will go out of that with something that we need in our pocket. And they don't expect anything. A qualified teacher does not expect anything from us. Not even a thank you. Not any kind of an acknowledgement. They're happy when they see us practice, though. Yeah, when they see us practice, that's what really makes them happy. To see that we are putting in practice the teachings of the Buddha, that we're moving forward on the path. Yeah. And so, and then lastly, spiritual teachers need great patience. Need great patience in facing challenges. It is said that the higher that people are on the path, the more challenges they encounter. Yeah. And so when they talk about these, they usually mentioned His Holiness's example. Someone, yeah, and no doubt, a Buddha, no doubt the highest being on this planet, yeah, the most evolved spiritually, an emanation of Shenrezi. And he has encountered so many challenges, including losing his country, yeah, being a refugee in a foreign land, and having to rebuild from zero, trying to save his culture, language, religion, in the face of criticism and mockery. So, if such a high being is encountering those kinds of challenges, what's left for the rest of us? Yeah, so a qualified teacher has the patience to deal with all of those challenges. Yeah, the challenges that also come up from trying to help others, not just the challenges on his or her own practice, but the challenges that come up trying to help others. And if you ever try to help somebody, that can be difficult. Even, just because somebody needs help doesn't mean they're gonna make it easy on you to help them. Doesn't mean that at all. Yeah. So they need to, they need to have some fortitude. And also a teacher is a qualified teacher, they have the ability to do what needs to be done anytime under any conditions. Yeah. They may not feel like teaching, but they will teach. They may be sick or they may be tired, but they won't uh, they won't choose any other activity, but to benefit. Yeah. Even if they have to travel long distances to provide teachings, even if they have to have a heavy schedule involving travel here and there and everywhere just to benefit. So they have that kind of commitment and fortitude to endure all of the adverse conditions in order to guide the students on the path. So those are the 10 qualities of a perfectly qualified teacher. So I am taking this information again from Geshe Soba's book. I want to recommend, I want to recommend again these books by Geshe Lundub Soba, a commentary on the Lamrim, a lamp on the path. Let me see what, I don't know that that's the right, let me see if I can give you the right title. Steps on the Path. Steps on the Path. Lamp of the Path is Atisha's book. Steps on the Path to Enlightenment. And as I said, it's got 5 volumes. And they're just really, really great commentaries. I highly recommend it. And this section on the how to rely on the spiritual guide is just superb. So anyway, so then in that chapter he's quoting Geshe Potawa. He's having a little quote of Geshe Potawa, who was one of the great Kadampa masters of old. Yeah. So Geshe Potawa said that of those 10 qualities that we just talked about, right? There are 5 that are considered principal qualities. So if you cannot find, if for whatever reason you cannot find a teacher that has all those 10 qualities, at least try to find a teacher that has the 5 principal qualities, which is, according to Geshe Patawa, are the most important. So those are um, the first 3, which are related to the trainings in ethical conduct, concentration, and meditative stabilization. And then the understanding of suchness, and the understanding of wisdom, realizing the ultimate nature of reality, and also great compassion. So those would be the 3. So it'd be wonderful. Unfortunate. We are so fortunate that we still live in a time where we can find teachers with the 10 qualities. Yeah, we really are very fortunate. Because we're living in times that are considered degenerate times, when it's harder to find qualified teachers. And boy, to be alive at a time where we have His Holiness alive, that is, not only has he been alive, but he has been teaching, wow, for decades, traveling all over the world for decades. Of course, in the last few years, his traveling schedule has been curtailed, but wow, he did a lot of traveling. And we're so fortunate if we ever got to go see one of his teachings in person. And then we had, of course, Lama Sopa Rinpoche. Yeah, just amazing holy ones. That's a great fortune. Yeah. And there are, fortunately, others like them now in the last, 30, 40 years that came from Tibet back in the 1950s, who were trained in Tibet. Of course, they're passing away now because they've now so aged, but yeah, we still had them here in the West for a number of decades. That was just an amazing fortune for us to encounter them, to really benefit from all that training they received in Tibet. And then they gave us all that wisdom. They poured all that on us. It's just amazing. Okay. But we must also face the fact that we are in degenerate times, and that things are sort of degenerating, and that at some point we may not be able to find these teachers. So Geshe always said, if you cannot find someone with those 10 qualities, then at least someone who has these 5 qualities, yeah. But in our times of degeneration, it may even be harder to find someone with those 5 qualities at some point in the future, yeah. And so next time we are going to look at what those alternative qualities may be. But for now, in the last 15 minutes of our class, I want us to do some meditation. Yes, so get into some meditation posture. Let's sort of do some cleansing, take some cleansing breaths, deep breaths to get our mind to become the more subdued, more tranquil, get our body to relax a little bit. So let's prepare to be good disciples by doing some purification. Purify. And let's purify whatever negativity we might have created in the past that might present an obstacle to meeting perfectly qualified Mahayana teachers. Right? We can purify that. Let's purify those kinds of negativities with this meditation. So we're going to visualize the syllable Om, O-M, Om, white. And we can visualize it like in the center of your brain. And that white Om in the center of your brain is the pure energy of the divine body of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, who are so pure. And so what you're going to do is recite the syllable as if you were reciting a mantra. Slowly. You're just going to do that for a couple of minutes. And while you're reciting it, visualize that white light radiates from the syllable Om in your head, filling your entire body. Yeah? And so all the impure energy of your body is cleansed and purified. And this particular negative action that you're trying to purify right now, that also gets purified. Those obstacles to meeting qualified Mahayana spiritual guides. All those obstacles are being purified by this white light that's radiating from the syllable Om in the middle of your brain. So continue to repeat that. Om, Om, Om. And continue to do that visualization for some more moments. After you stop chanting the Om, just take a moment of silence to notice how your body is feeling, how your mind is feeling. You just want to notice, you don't want to chat in your mind about it. You just want to notice, sense your body and mind. And now we're going to visualize a syllable ah, A-H, ah, color red at your throat. And from this red ah at your throat chakra, which is the pure speech energy of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, yeah? So red light rays radiate and fill your entire body. And it purifies your speech. Any negativity that you've created with your speech. And this is a blissful red light, which is filling your entire body, particularly purifying any kind of negativity with the speech that might be an obstacle in finding qualified Mahayana teachers. Maybe criticizing, getting angry, saying angry words about teachers in the past lives, gossiping, harsh speech. All of those are now being purified as you repeat and chant a syllable slowly, and visualizing those light rays, color red. And now in silence, take a moment to again observe how your body and mind feel after doing this chanting and visualization, this recitation and visualization. And now we visualize right at our heart a blue syllable hum, which represents the non-duality wisdom of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And so from that blue hum, infinite blue light radiates and fills your entire body, purifying all negativities of the mind. Your entire body feels blissful. All wrong concepts, all dualistic conceptions, they all vanish. Purifies any negativity you've created towards you. That would be an obstacle for meeting qualified Mahayana spiritual guides, any negativity you've created with your thoughts. So continue to repeat the syllable Om slowly as you do that visualization. And now again, take a moment of silence to just notice how your body and mind are feeling. And you can do this meditation anytime for as long as you wish. Yeah. It brings a lot of peace to the body and the mind. So, a lot of purification. So, okay, we've come to the end of our session for the day. I suppose we'll dedicate if there are no questions or comments. Okay, Cynthia has a question.
Hi, Venerable. Thank you. Hopefully this is just a quick question. Is there a technical? So my question is related to the term qualified teacher. Is there a specific designation that one must have? So I'm asking this because similar to the term sangha. So I know some people use it loosely, but then really there's a specific designation for what a sangha means. So I just wanted to know if that's also the case when we say qualified teacher. Thank you.
So, technically speaking, a perfectly qualified teacher is one that has those 10 qualities that I talked about. Yeah, technically speaking. Now, as we heard, according to Geshe Towa, we can always be more flexible and say that if, we find a teacher that has 5 of those, the principal 5 qualities, that person can also be considered a qualified teacher. Yeah. So, I would say that, the definition runs along those lines, technical definition.
Okay, thank you. So can be a lay person, for example, or even because I partly the reason is when I first started Buddhism, I learned a lot from a nun who's ordained, but she said that she's not quote unquote qualified teacher. So that kind of I wasn't sure what that meant at that time. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm clarifying. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So she probably yeah. Yeah. So a qualified teacher would be someone with those 10 qualities that I mentioned, or at least the 5 principal qualities. But next time we will see a designation of a spiritual friend and what the qualities of a spiritual friend might be. Okay, so we'll talk more about that next time. Okay, Brigitte.
Hi, thank you so much. This was a wonderful talk. I was just curious. I did a little bit of research about Vajrayana Buddhism. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. I believe I read that that was the type of Buddhism that is being taught in these sessions, and I was just curious if you'd be willing to share where you studied or where you learned your skill set. I read some of it, some monks study in Nepal or um and Nepal or let's see, Tibet. So yeah, I was just curious where you studied. Thank you.
Yeah. So I am sure that there are probably qualified Vajrayana teachers that come to the center to teach, but I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them. I don't teach Vajrayana. Yeah. And as far as what I am sharing with you, I'm just sharing with you what would be considered basic Mahayana teachings. Yeah. So and how did I learn what little I know? Well, from my teachers. Um, yeah, from my teachers and from living at the monastery at the abbey, at Shravasti Abbey, for several years. and listening to my teacher there. And yeah, going to teachings, reading, practicing, that sort of thing. Yeah. I've never lived in India. I've never lived in Nepal. Yeah, I did all my most of my studies, 99.9% of my studies in the US. Yeah, and I would say that a lot of my teachers have been connected with FPMT. Yeah, most of them, in fact, have been connected with FPMT in one way or another, including Lama Sopa, of course. So, yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much. Where in the United States is the monastery, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, you can find their website, Shravasti Abbey, and they're located in Washington State, near a town called Newport. That's right at the border of Idaho, and also very close to the Canadian border, actually, too. So, yeah, right up there in the Pacific Northwest.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, so I guess we can dedicate then. And yeah. May whatever virtue I have collected benefit the teachings and all transmigratory beings, and in particular may it cause the essence of perfect pure Losandarapa's teachings to shine forever. May the precious Supreme Bodhicitta not yet born arise and grow. May that arisen not decline but increase more and more. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good, all powerful Chenrezig and Singyat, so please remain until samsara ends. Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losang, father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and for other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. Okay. Thank you to everyone, and thank you for those wonderful questions. And yeah, until next Monday. Have a good evening.